Hello, and welcome to Some Kind of Podcast. This is a podcast where we entertain you by discussing what entertains us. I'm this week's host, Tim, and I'm obviously joined by my cohorts, Christian.
Hello.
And Cody.
Hello.
So if you're playing the home game, you probably realize that this would actually be Christian's turn to host. But if you listened to last week's podcast, you'll know that he took quite the tumble and broke his knee legitimately. So I have taken over responsibilities with him as he's still on drugs, albeit probably less now, I think. Right, Christian?
Yeah, a little bit less, a little bit more coherent.
Yeah, so he hopefully won't fall asleep in this podcast like he did last time, even though I guess none of y'all will know, and I just outed him. But regardless of that, we're here, and he's here with us. So what's new with you gentlemen this week? Anything new happening with you in terms of entertainment wise?
I've been going back through Critical Role.
Oh yeah,
first season.
You definitely tried to put me on that at one point, and I've been meaning to watch that. Aren't they coming out with like an animated series soon?
Yes, at some point this year, I think it's coming to Amazon Prime.
Excellent. Well, is it based off a new season, or are they doing like season one?
No, it's based on their first campaign, the Vox Machina series.
The first season or whatever?
Well, I wouldn't call it a season. For anyone listening that plays D&D, they started a campaign at home before the stream ever started, and then Geek and Sundry thought it would be cool to stream them, so they started that, and then they blew up during their first campaign. And they're currently in their second campaign, but the Vox Machina animated series is based on their first campaign, and I think it's the time in between their home game and when they started streaming, I believe, is what that's based on.
Gotcha. Well, Christian, anything you've been doing while you've been laid up in bed? I know we're gonna get kind of deeper into that as to know if you're doing anything new.
Yeah, no, I mean, like I've been rewatching Friends as I've been in and out of consciousness during this recovery time period. I've been trying to stay up to date with WandaVision, which isn't very hard since it's only an episode per week. And then as far as games go, I finished up The Pedestrian, which was that kind of indie game that launched about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. And then I'm excited because Assassin's Creed just actually got its first title update in, I think, almost a month. So that glitch trophy that's been tripping me up, I actually will be able to get past that, and maybe later this week finally get the platinum for it. So I'm excited.
Excellent. Well, if you're listening to this, it's already happened, but I know that me and Cody are kind of gearing up to watch the Nintendo Direct this evening. I think Christian's going to watch it too, but me and Cody specifically are going to attempt to live stream it. So I don't know if it's going to be something that's recorded, because at this point in time, we've already done it because it's happening on the same day that we are recording this. But I know that he and I are excited for that and what the possibilities of that may be, which you looked it up. What was it exactly again, Cody?
Yeah. If it, I hope it's recorded, but obviously that's to be determined on technical side of things. However, the direct is supposed to be about 50 minutes long. I know it's supposed to have information on Smash Brothers and stuff that either they haven't talked about or stuff that is planned to come out the first half of the year. So it should be interesting.
Yeah, and I know that we were talking about before we started recording about potentially, hopefully, something Zelda related, where they might do something with Mario, where they had Super Mario. Was it Mario N64? Which one was it? Well, I never played the Mario ones. I'm sorry.
Yeah, my hope. So one of two things I think is going to happen personally. So recently Nintendo did the it was like Mario Galaxy, Mario Sunshine, and Super Mario 64 in like one game or whatever. And so I think either they're going to do something similar for the Zelda anniversary and do like Majora's Mask and Ocarina of Time and I don't know, maybe Wind Waker or something on a single cartridge for the Switch, or potentially do like a remake remaster of Ocarina of Time, which is what I would personally hope would happen, but that's just my own personal bias.
Well, I know that I'm very much in the minority here. I don't actually know about Christian, but I know that for a fact you, Cody, have played all the Zelda games. I've only ever played Breath of the Wild, which is I've been told is the least Zelda of the Zelda games. I don't know how true that is because I have nothing to compare it to. But I don't know if you ever have played a Zelda, Christian.
Yeah, so I've played a bit of Breath of the Wild and a bit of Twilight Princess on the Wii, and that's it.
Okay. I think Cody, you played all of them, right?
Most of them. I think there's a couple of like uh, side titles that I never got to. Like I never played Legend of the Four Swords, or um, I never really played the DS games or the Game Boy games. Outside of like A Link to the Past and Link's Awakening. Um, yeah,
So essentially, if it came on a console, though, you played
if it
it.
was on a console, I've probably played it. And I think so. Saying Breath of the Wild is the least Zelda like Zelda game
That was gonna be my next question.
is like, I mean, it's not inaccurate because typically with Zelda, you know, it's like you have, I don't know, like 2 to 4 different swords in the game that you can get, one being the Master Sword, and um, in Breath of the Wild, obviously you can get a plethora of weapons
Yeah, they all
that
break.
all break, which is, I guess, in that respect, it is definitely the most different Zelda game um, in the series in that respect, but it is otherwise, you know, at its core, a Zelda game.
Interesting. Like I said, I don't have anything to compare it to. So like again, I've just been told that like since it's so open world that it's almost like an open world game just with Zelda characters in it, so to speak. Like
Well,
again, I've never played the other ones.
they're all open world.
Okay.
Yeah, they're all open world. It's the where it diverges is the weapon system and how everything breaks and the different types of armor. Well, like there's usually a couple armor variants in some games, but like in this case, it was like there was like 30 different armor variants, and it's a
Interesting.
whole thing. So
And correct me if I'm wrong, because again, I know very, very little about the Zelda franchise. Um, Breath of the Wild 2 was announced, right?
yeah, and it got announced a couple years ago, I think,
Okay.
with a very
Because
brief little
Did
teaser.
kind of Breath of the Wild did kind of end open ended almost.
Yeah, and it's definitely um, I don't think it's unheard of, but it's definitely not a normal thing for the Zelda franchise to do a direct sequel.
That's right, because all the Zeldas, even though they all have Zelda and Link in them, are all standalone games essentially.
Yeah, so I think and like I said, I love the Zelda games, but I'm not like a diehard lore diving fan. But I want to say that like they're all connected. Like they're all like reincarnations of the hero in Zelda or something like that. Yeah, so I think they're all connected in some way, but they're all standalone games.
Maybe that's why the hero's name is Link, because
Right.
they're all linked.
Huh.
I'm just spitballing. I don't really know anything about it. Well, that's cool. I'm excited for it. Obviously, I played Breath of the Wild 1, so I'll definitely play Breath of the Wild 2. And just from my own personal standpoint, getting, playing Breath of the Wild and being the only real Zelda game I ever finished. The whole game is fun, but the ending was kind of anticlimactic. Uh, if you do most of, because you can actually beat the whole game in like 30 minutes if you cheese it.
It's possible to cheese it.
Yeah. But if you actually do everything there is in the game, like I did, and put 110 hours into the game, like I did, the last boss fight is super easy. Because essentially half his health gets taken out from the beginning.
Yeah, traditionally speaking, most Zelda bosses aren't that hard. Like
No.
there's usually a pattern like in the early games it was just like you kind of had to hit them 3 times, and then as they went it was like you had to hit them in a very specific way 3 times, and then there was like a phase 2 or and then possibly a phase 3, but like for the most part they've pretty much stuck to that, so it's really not, I don't know, difficult. You can make it difficult with the later games. I mean, you can put it on like a master mode or a hard difficulty and make it awful for yourself, but
Yeah. Well, by the time I did it all, so I had the master sword and the master shield, and I did all the god animals or whatever they were called or whatever. So like the final boss fight was really easy.
mhm.
I mean, you could go into that fight with because the sword and shield, they don't break, but they kind of lose energy.
Yeah.
So you can kind of go into that fight a little bit handicapped if you wanted to, but I made sure to save all the charge for that kind of stuff because I'm that kind of person that I get that awesome item that you're like, oh man, this is going to make the game really easy, and then I only use it on the final boss.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know, but so yeah, the Nintendo Direct, like I said, hopefully Cody and I will be live streaming it. And obviously, if you listen to this, it's already happened. But hopefully, knock on wood, maybe you can go ahead and watch our reactions to it because we're going to assume that we figured out how to record it and it's there
Yeah.
on YouTube for you to watch.
Technical issues permitting, it gets streamed, recorded, and posted to YouTube before this even
airs.
airs. So
You could have already watched it.
you either watched it or you didn't because it doesn't exist.
Yeah. You watched it live with us and are now hearing us talk about it before we do it, or you haven't watched it because it's not available.
Time is weird.
Or you can watch it after hearing this, maybe, because we don't have a lot of technical issues. Ha ha. Ha ha. Having to replay the first half of Resident Evil 4 again. Anyway, before we kind of move on to the next segment, this is kind of a brainchild of mine, and I kind of like the idea. So I kind of wanted to bring up this new segment that we want to try to do, and it's kind of sort of involving you guys that potentially could be listening to this. We're gonna call it the fan service segment. Calm yourself. It's not what you would think if you're talking about fan services in terms of anime. Essentially, in order for us to kind of interact with people that are listening to this, we kind of want to give you our advice on stuff that might be happening to you that you want 3 idiots to talk about. So essentially, if you wanted to email us at some kind of message at gmail.com, that's some kind of message at gmail.com, just the way it sounds, and give us, something you would like us to give you advice on, we might pick it out and talk about it on the show. In that regard, please know that like this is supposed to be kind of a lighthearted thing, and that the advice we give you should not be taken seriously, because it will probably be bad because we're just 3 random dudes with a podcast. So if you do submit this, please, don't submit us anything that is super serious, because we're going to be taking it in a lighthearted kind of fashion. And don't take anything that we say to heart, because again, this is supposed to be a fun little segment where we give you bad advice and joke about how stupid we are. So yeah, if that interests you, you can obviously go to some kind of message at gmail.com and give us a shout out there with your thing, and we'll give you a shout out on the show and give you the best worst advice that we can possibly give. With that being said, we're gonna move on to the next segment, and we kind of already maybe sort of talked about this, but we can get a little bit more deeper into it. We're gonna do the whole what we play and what we doing kind of thing. And I know I asked you like what new you were doing, but besides that, what have you guys been watching or playing?
Outside of, like I said, rewatching Critical Role, campaign 1, me and Christian have done we've finished Leon's playthrough in Resident Evil 6,
And how
and
far is that in the game?
it's 5 chapters worth of stuff.
It's roughly like a third of the game.
Yeah. Um, I don't know. It's like 7 to 8 hours. Um, so I'm working on editing that, and we're working on getting Christian's videos to me for editing. But other than that, I mean, it's been going pretty well.
So yeah, that's like what, probably like 10-ish episodes you have kind of lined up right there.
It's like 7.
Okay. Well, there you go. That's so you're not playing anything else yourself personally?
No, not really.
Playing the editor game. I
Playing
get
the
that.
editor game.
All right. Christian, what are you playing or doing?
Yeah.
You're
So, I mean,
watching
like
Friends.
yeah, I was gonna say, like I said before, I've been rewatching Friends, staying caught up on WandaVision, Promise Neverland, which is the anime I mentioned a while back. And then I've been rewatching, as I'm lethargic around the apartment, some of the earlier Marvel movies. So like I rewatched the original Thor and Thor 2 Dark World, I guess is what it's called, because I could not for the life of me remember the plot of that movie at all.
Is that the
Um,
one where Christopher Eccleston's in it?
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Where he plays like the
Dark
bad
Elves?
The
dude?
Dark Elf, yeah.
yeah, okay.
Go ahead. Sorry.
No, you're good.
I was just interesting. Is it any better the second go around?
No.
I was gonna say I could answer that for you. It's not.
So like I enjoyed the original Thor, and I was like, this is kind of cool. Like, they still got their, like, their little niche like humor to figure out, but like they're in the right direction. And then with the second one, I think they tried to throw in a splash of like DC, like dark tone, and
Yeah.
I was just like, what the heck is going on here? I do not like this. And then when they came back for Ragnarok, I was like, here we go. Okay, now you're back where you should be. This is good.
Yeah. Well, definitely Thor Ragnarok was the best out of the three, in my humble opinion.
I think
Oh,
so
I would
too.
agree too. Yeah.
I mean, obviously, most people prefer that. I actually didn't really like the first Thor all that much.
Oh, really?
I mean, I didn't know anything about Thor, if I'm being honest. I mean, there's a really cool picture of me holding the big Thor hammer that we had at the old movie house at the time, because it was just like this cardboard thing, and I picked it up because I was an idiot. So that's kind of cool. But other than that, I don't really know much about Thor. In fact, I mean, I don't really know much about Marvel all that much because I never really read the comics. So anytime one of those movies came out, I always had to like watch it. And then once it was done, I would turn to my buddy Matt and be like, what happened?
Explain to me what I just watched.
Yeah, explain to me like why this, like when Thanos first popped out on screen, I was like, who the hell's that?
Yeah. Who's the purple guy? And
Yeah.
meanwhile, Matt's having like an aneurysm next to you, and he's like,
Oh my god, yeah.
Thanos.
He was literally like on the ground, just like
foaming at the mouth, just like going nuts.
Yeah. And then the whole car ride home, I was like, please explain to me what Thanos is. And obviously everybody knows who Thanos is now, but well, at least the Marvel Cinematic Universe one, I mean, I'm sure there's different things that happened in the comic. I mean, I don't think there was a blip in
I don't know. I the only thing from the comics that I know that didn't happen was that like Thanos like punched Rhodey in the like War Machine suit and like blew his back out or something like that. And I think they did, obviously they went a different route.
Yeah. You have something to say?
No, I was just gonna say, and then on the conclusion of like what I've been playing and watching, I guess just tentatively, well, like Cody was saying, we've been playing Resident Evil 6, and uploading content for the channel. That'll be uploaded weekly, and then we'll probably continue on with I guess there's 3 co-op campaigns in Resident Evil 6. So we did Leon's playthrough, and then we'll be doing the other 2 over the next few weeks. And then just on a personal level, I kind of have like a tentative schedule for myself to finally actually give Cyberpunk a try. And then
Finally, are you actually going to get into it?
Uh, let's just say I know I'm not gonna go
Just
for
wait.
platinum run.
Just wait.
Like I want to I want to do. It's only what, like 20 hours or whatever for a single playthrough. Like I want to at least do that.
it's
But
good. Like you'll enjoy it, but I mean, at this point, you've already waited so long. You might as well just wait for the PS5 version.
yeah. But anyway, and then if I don't do that, I've been really considering giving Little Nightmares 2 a try. I know our buddy Steven is really likes it. He's already got it, and I think I was checking out his profile the other day on PSN. I think he's already platinumed it, so I assumed he liked it.
Wouldn't surprise me.
Who's already planned it?
Steven.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think
yeah.
that game's kind of right up his alley.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I heard good things about Little Nightmares 1. I've never played one. Have you played one?
I haven't either. So that was another thing. I was like, well, maybe I should go back and play the first one, and then to decide if I like the series at all, and then maybe get to.
I don't know if they're like related in any way. Like if one or if two directly follows one or whatever.
Yeah, it's got the same like characters or whatever that you play as, but I don't know if like the plot or the story directly connects.
Interesting. Well, let's see. Before I talk about what I've been playing about, we do a little brief WandaVision update now that we've all seen episode 6, because you said you watched it. Yes, Christian?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
And Cody watched it in the last podcast that we did. And episode 7 hasn't come out yet because we're back on schedule. What do you guys think about it?
So real quick before we start
Spoiler
talking
alert, I guess, if you haven't seen episode 6 of WandaVision.
that too, but I've been hopped up on so many pain meds. Remind me where the start of this episode took place. Like what?
It was the
Malcolm.
It was the Malcolm in the
Middle
opening.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And yeah, it's the Malcolm in the Middle episode where like the twins essentially narrate the episode.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, in the
okay.
very beginning, like they're doing the whole like talk to the camera thing.
All right.
They do like the 90s punk intro.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. Now Cody, go. Sorry.
Oh no, you're good. I obviously I liked it. It was really good. I'm definitely, curious where they go with it. But like I'm having such conflicting like thoughts and theories about Quicksilver. And
yeah, so like
I just don't know anymore.
Yeah. I just thought that like we were talking last podcast that he might have just been Peter Maximoff, as he was known as in the Marvel X-Men First Class. It's just recast, but then he at the end of the episode, again the spoilers, he has the same injuries that Aaron Taylor Thomas has.
Yeah. He also had Aaron Taylor Johnson.
Sorry, whatever.
I got it wrong last episode.
I've really based off of you too.
Yeah, no,
so.
and I got it wrong last episode. Yeah. And he also was like, he had his memories.
Yeah.
So that's where like, I'm not sure.
Because don't correct me if I'm wrong. In X-Men First Class, Peter Maximoff does not have a sister.
He does.
Correct.
He has a younger sister.
Oh, okay.
Not on screen, I don't think.
There's one scene on screen. I think it's an Apocalypse where they're watching, like there's something happening on TV about the mutants or whatever, and he is sitting on the floor. Oh, it's when Magneto is like they're like searching for him or something. He is sitting on the floor in the living room watching the TV, and he has his sister in his lap.
Oh, I don't remember that.
But she's not his twin, and she's obviously much younger than him.
Yeah.
So he has a sister, but it's not. I don't think it's Wanda.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, I don't know now if it's like she pulled like X-Men Quicksilver's like body and her actual brother's like soul and like mashed them together or something, or if it's not even her brother, and it's like I don't know, some evil mutant or something that's pretending to be Quicksilver, and like just intentionally like running the show behind the scenes, or is trying to get Wanda to do something, like manipulate her. So I honestly, I just don't know anymore.
Yeah. Well, I guess one thing was confirmed with episode 6 is that Vision really is dead.
Oh yeah, he
Uh,
he real dead.
Yeah, because again, spoilers. He tries to leave the little bubble that they're in, and it slowly starts deteriorating because he's not alive anymore. So Wanda apparently is really more powerful than given credit to in the movies. I don't know if I've ever alluded to how powerful she was before, but she's super powerful. She also
There's a
does
couple
allude,
times.
huh?
There's a couple times. Like
She also, oh, sorry, guys.
she did destroy the Mind Stone before Thanos reversed time and ripped it out of his head. So she had the power to destroy an Infinity Stone.
So I think there was even a line in WandaVision where they're like discussing Wanda's powers back at the sword base, sword operating base, and they're talking about like, hey, like I mean, like she was probably one of the most powerful Avengers before, but I think they even said something along the lines of something happened between when Vision died and present day that made her powers increase even more than what they were before. Because she's at a state now where she probably could have 1v1 Thanos and maybe even won.
Well, she almost did, and like that was the other part of it. Like she held Thanos back while she simultaneously destroyed the Mind Stone. Like I feel like if she had put everything into just stopping Thanos, she probably could have.
Yeah.
Um,
She also mentioned, speaking of her powers, that, and this might be alluding to it, that Pietro or Peter, whoever he is, asked her how she was able to do all this, and she doesn't know. But she
yeah,
does know that when she found out that Vision died, she just felt alone and empty, and created this world around her. So it could be something that maybe she doesn't quite know how to control. Um,
yeah,
and also at the end of it, when she finds out that Vision is dying again, she kind of enters that trance mode again and sucks up everybody into her world except for like 4 people.
yeah,
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 so that's probably the most interesting thing that kind of came out of that last week's episode, where not only did Vision find a way to leave, but Wanda also magically found some sort of way to enter this alternate like avatar state and expand this giant bubble, bringing in pretty much every single sword agent that was trying to figure out how to get the shield down into her now little world.
Including Kat Dennings. Kat Dennings
Yep.
is in there
yeah.
now, but not whatever her name is. Starts with an R. Not Rambo, but
That's her last name.
oh, it is Rambo. Okay,
Yeah.
cool. I don't know her
Monica.
first.
Monica.
Monica Rambo. Yeah, she got out, and the director of Sword, I think, also escaped. But
Yeah.
everybody else, Jimmy Woo. Jimmy Woo was also
Jimmy
not in there.
Woo got out, and then the director of Sword got out.
Which is good because apparently Monica Rambo can't go back into the Hex, according to Kat Dennings' character, who I forget her name.
Well, so I do know this about the comics. Monica Rambo is supposed to be a superhero.
Okay.
Like she becomes like, I think it's like Photon. I know I'm gonna get ripped apart if anyone watches this and hears me say this. It's like Photon or something like that. Like she has like some kind of weird light powers or something. And I don't know if they're gonna try and say that she already had that like mutant gene or whatever in her, and then Wanda's powers awakened it. But like when they showed her the scan and it was just pure light, she acted like she already knew. Like she didn't care. So
So apparently Monica Rambo, just to answer your question because I googled it, was originally actually known as Captain Marvel, but I guess when that changed or whatever, I didn't really look into it much. You were correct by calling her Photon.
okay.
But for most of her career, I guess she was Captain Marvel. Not 100% sure on that. Again, please don't rip us apart for our ignorance when it comes to this.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the only other question I have left asking about like WandaVision is like those twins. Are they actually real? Because like they're growing fast and they're seeming to be gaining powers every
Yeah.
episode.
So
they're canonically real in the comic book world anyway. They are her children, and they are mutants. One's a speedster and one's like a weird mentalist like she is.
Okay, so they have the right powers at least.
Yeah. And their costumes were correct too. Their Halloween costumes were like the cheapo version of their comic book outfits.
Oh, even the one kid's was the same as Quicksilver's.
So I need to rewatch it. I know it was either they were both dressed as comic book Quicksilver or he was dressed as like his actual comic book character. But either way, the costume was accurate to one of them.
Okay, you gonna say something, Christian?
Oh, I was just gonna say I brought up this whole concept and tried to explain, what actually is going on in WandaVision to my wife Ashley, and so she was like, "Well, wait a minute, back up." So this guy, who's a corpse, had babies with a live person.
Yeah, that's what I don't understand.
No. So here's the thing. WandaVision started like a week or 2 weeks after the reverse snap.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Wanda got snapped.
Yes.
She got dusted. So what I believe happened, and what the popular theory is, one of two things happened. Either she just manifested these kids with her powers.
I mean, she does have like the Reality Stone was the source of her powers,
right?
I was gonna say you kind of jumped in halfway through my story there. I was gonna say my defense to that what Ashley was saying was gonna be that she had the Reality Stone, and so she's basically able to create whatever universe she wants to create and make it real within that world.
Yes, but my whole thing was like in Endgame, I thought the Reality Stone it makes it feel real, but like it wasn't real.
Yeah. Well, no, it was the Mind Stone. She had the mind. Her powers came from the Mind Stone, not the Reality Stone.
Oh.
But the Mind Stone, along with the Reality Stone, are both gone.
Yeah, all destroyed.
The Reality Stone was in Thor: The Dark World. That was the red goo crap.
Yeah.
But they were all the stones are destroyed and back in their original timelines, supposedly. But to interesting point to what Kristen's saying though, and to go back on Vision coming out of the wall, as he's deteriorating, the Mind Stone isn't. The Mind Stone in his head never deteriorates even a little bit.
I just thought that like he hadn't gotten that far into deterioration yet.
It looked like every other part of him was falling apart except for the stone, which I thought was weird. Like I would have assumed that the forehead where it got ripped out was the first thing to go. But it seemed in whole. So did she create a Mind Stone?
Maybe. She is super powerful.
Since that's where she got her powers from?
Maybe. So, I guess there's only one real way to find out.
Yeah. But my theory is that they conceived those children's pre-blip.
Oh, like she was pregnant?
Yeah, like they went because in the beginning of I guess it's Infinity War, they're like
they're on like honeymoon.
They're
or
on
something.
like this weird like honeymoon trip thing, right?
Yeah, they're in Paris or something.
And I feel like they conceived those children there. She got blipped, and then because of all the cosmic energy she was exposed to. So she destroyed the Mind Stone right in front of her. Got exposed to that. Then it was reversed and ripped. And then she was snapped.
Yeah.
And so I think she got snapped pregnant. And then when she came back, because they still haven't talked about what happened to people that were pregnant. Like
Is that a thing?
I don't know. So that's the thing. It's like she was gone for 5 years. So,
but everybody came back the same age because they mentioned that in the Spider-Man. Because that one kid,
they all came back the same age and everything. So, but like they didn't answer a lot of questions, which I'm glad they're sort of answering it now, like with like the hospital scene with
Yeah.
people just like popping up and it's just absolute chaos.
Yeah.
So like I want to know, did people that were in planes when they got snapped, did they just drop out of the sky suddenly?
That would be terrible.
I'm serious. Like
That would be absolutely terrible.
like what happens there?
I don't know. I hope that's not the case.
And the other weird side of it is like if like say a woman was pregnant and the baby got snapped before it was born,
Oh,
does she just like
this is getting
die?
dark.
You know what I mean? Like I don't like how,
dark, man.
just saying. So
Real dark.
so either she was pregnant and then using like everything that's happening, she like accelerated everything without meaning to.
Maybe.
But those kids seem to
obviously time works different in this bubble because it's daylight in the
Yeah.
city usually with Wanda, but it's clearly nighttime and arguably maybe still the same day.
Yeah, it's hard to say like how much time's actually passed in like the real world versus Wanda
In the
world.
world. Yeah. So it's hard to say because like to me it feels like people on the outside of the bubble, it's still like maybe only
It's
a couple
still
hours
Tuesday.
have passed.
Yeah.
Yeah, because when she comes back out, she's only been in there for like a day or two, but it's been like episodes and days that she's been in there.
Right.
So who knows how time works in this bubble? Obviously there's a lot of questions that still should be answered, and the only way to find out is to watch because there's still 3 more episodes left. But anyway, go ahead.
I was just gonna say real quick, they did announce that the last 3 episodes are an hour long.
Okay, well that's good to know. So a lot of questions hopefully to still be answered, and obviously immediately following that the Captain America Winter Soldier thing episode show starts like 2 weeks after.
That whole trailer just looked like an action movie.
Yep, it's not going to be a sitcom, that's for sure. Anyway, kind of bleeding to that, so I've also been watching WandaVision, and when I haven't been doing that because there's only 1 episode a week that I need to really watch, I'm a really big, speaking of sitcoms, I'm a really big sucker for them. I enjoy things like Friends and The Office and whatever have you on that. And I've always wanted to watch Modern Family. And I logged into Hulu the other day and saw that they finally put the whole series on there.
Oh, good.
I guess because it ended in April of last year. So I have been binging that really badly. I'm already almost on season 3, and I just started this week. So I've been watching a lot of that. On top of that, I've been playing a couple games. Obviously, I'm still playing through Resident Evil 4 with Cody. So that's also up on our YouTube channel for you to enjoy, and all my angry swearingness. But personally, I set something up to finally play Persona 3 and 4, which I've never played before. And I set it up and I was like, okay, cool. I want to test to make sure Persona 3 works. And then I ended up playing for like 5 hours one night. I haven't gone back to it since, but I am enjoying it. It's vastly different than Persona 5, obviously, because, Persona 5, was based off of 3 and 4. A lot of mechanics are the same, but there is some interesting things that I'm kind of glad that they got rid of in Persona 5. But, whatever. I'm still enjoying the game. And then personally, the one I've been really playing through, and it kind of bleeds into the big discussion that we're going to have here in a minute, is Control Ultimate Edition. I already bought it, but the Ultimate Edition was free for PlayStation this year. So I downloaded it, and I've been playing through it, and I was hoping to have it done by the time this podcast was going to happen, but it didn't work out that way. I'm about a mission and a half away from completing it. So I'm close, but I wasn't quite there yet, which kind of is going to bleed us into like the big topic that we're going to be discussing today, which is platinum trophies. or just trophies in general that I'll obviously, because the platinum trophy, for those of you who don't know, the platinum trophy is what Sony gives you when you've gotten all the other trophies for completing various acts in any given game. I don't know what it's called. What it's called for
Achievements and
Xbox.
everything
I know they
else.
call it achievements, but I don't know if there's like a master achievement
Oh yeah, I don't know.
or what it's called. But for those of you playing Xbox that might be listening to this, when we say the word trophy, just replace it with achievement. Unfortunately, I don't know why Nintendo does not have any sort of trophy or achievement system whatsoever.
They're not a hardcore uh, gaming platform, and I mean that in the sense of like they have third party stuff, but they're mainly a first party company, so like they don't want their games to be like stressful, even though I think
Yeah,
some of them are, but
yeah.
they
You ever
don't
played
they don't want
Mario?
you to stress over trying to get like a specific thing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm gonna go ahead and say this. I'm not a really big trophy hunter myself. I enjoy doing it, but here recently, maybe it's just because I've had a lot more free time due to quarantine and all that. I've become sort of a trophy hunter, where I obviously enjoy trying to go for platinum runs. So let's just start off this conversation with this. How do you determine if you're going to have a platinum run for a game?
How do I personally
Like,
make that decision?
yeah, like how do you say like I want the platinum trophy for this game? I'm gonna make a platinum run.
Um, it depends on the game. If it's a new game, new series, then I look at the trophy list, and if it requires like a like do this on rip your eyeballs out difficulty, then I typically don't really put much stock into it, and I'll just play the game, and then if like that was literally the only trophy preventing me from getting it, I might do it. But if it's a series like Assassin's Creed or something that like I feel like I can easily enough do it, even though it's going to be work, I'll try and set myself up to get it as I go.
Gotcha. Christian.
Yeah, so I'm in a similar boat. I think, I mean, of course, whether it's a returning franchise sequel, whether it's a completely new game or a new franchise, I mean, first of all, I've got to enjoy the game. So, like, regardless of what the trophy list is, even if it's pretty achievable, like, if I play the game for the first couple of hours and just downright hate it, like, of course, I'm not going to platinum it.
Yeah.
But then I just kind of go through my list of like, I guess, run killing, trophies. Like Cody was saying, like the hard or like ultimate difficulty ones is one of those. Um, Typically, if the game requires you to 100% it, I won't do it. Just because a lot of times when you have to 100% a game, there's a lot of random side missions and stuff that I just really don't want to do, and it's really just taxing. It takes so long to go through it. Um, and then yeah, or like if there's a specific like boss that you have to kill that's just like that one that's like the end game boss that's pretty much unbeatable and it's super challenging and like there's almost no way you're gonna be able to do it. That'd be another run killer one for me where like I'll still probably go through and get a majority of the trophies, but on no means am I like, yep, I'm gonna definitely go for the platinum on this. Um, but yeah, so I mean, like, and I think like Ghost of Tsushima was a great example of a game that I wasn't necessarily planning to platinum, but I played it, really enjoyed it, and then looked at the trophy list, and I was like, okay, this is pretty much play the game. You do have to essentially 100% it, but it doesn't have like a bunch of like annoying tasks to do. It's like pretty much everything to under 100% the game is kind of on your natural path through the course of the three parts of the game anyway, with the exception of a few collectibles and a few challenges. But like I 100% of that game doing everything in it and enjoyed every bit of it. So it just kind of depends. What
Yeah.
about you, Tim?
Um, I similar but different in a way. I always look at the trophy list before I decide whether or not I'm going to platinum a game because there's a lot of video games that I like and I mainly like RPGs and platformers and action games like that. So, especially when it comes to RPGs, there's a lot of dumb things you have to do to, and we'll discuss it here in a little bit with some of these aspects. Um, Dumb things you have to do in order to get a trophy, to get the platinum trophy to pop. So I always make sure that it's achievable. I'm not saying I'm a master gamer here, so I need to know, like, okay, is this something that I think I can do before I commit to it? Also, if there is any, and I mean any kind of multiplayer trophy, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing a platinum run. I encountered this issue when I tried to go for a platinum run on Far Cry 5, only to find out that there's 5 multiplayer trophies. So I am at 85% on the trophy list for Far Cry 5, and that to me is platinuming it because I mean, Far Cry 5 has been out for so long that there's probably not a whole lot of people on the multiplayer anymore. I don't know anybody that was, like, oh, the multiplayer for Far Cry is so amazing.
Yeah.
So I don't even know if there's anybody that's like still playing it, first of all. And second of all, I'm not trying to get a trophy based off how many kills I get on an online. Like, I feel like that's dumb to me. Like, why give me a trophy for something that's out of my control? I don't understand that. And Ubisoft, unfortunately, I guess with Assassin's Creed, they're a little bit better about it. But if there's a multiplayer, Ubisoft almost always has a multiplayer trophy on there, because I re-downloaded the 10th anniversary edition of Scott Pilgrim versus the World, and I was like, I'm gonna platinum this. Scott Pilgrim, my favorite movie. I played the game on the PS3 when it came out.
Yeah, we
and
played that together.
Huh?
We played that together.
Yeah. I played it on there, and I don't know why I didn't platinum then, but I was like, I'm gonna get the platinum trophy for this game now. And there's freaking multiplayer trophies on there because they added a multiplayer for it. First of all, we can have a whole episode on multiplayer, and maybe we will at one point, but I don't think you need to have multiplayer for a game like Scott Pilgrim. It's fine just the way it is. I don't know why you need to add this multiplayer aspect, but there is. So I'm probably never going to platinum it, and that honestly kind of bums me out a little bit because I like Scott Pilgrim, the game. So yeah, I always look at the trophy list to make sure it's attainable and to make sure that there's no multiplayer trophies. When you guys bring up the whole like ultra hard mode, that doesn't really necessarily stop me from doing a platinum run, but I will kind of be like, it depends on how much I like this game.
Yeah, I will say that, like, it's not an instant, like, it definitely shies me away from trying to go for the platinum. But like, say, I can't think of one off the top of my head. Like, if I go on the first playthrough and play on like normal, and I'm like, that normal was actually really easy, and I have any like thought that like the hard mode is actually going to be pretty playable, especially now that I'm experienced with the game, I'll definitely try it. Like, I'm not against hard modes by any means. I just, from my personal experience, hard modes tend to take games that I enjoy and make them to where I just want to rip my hair out. So like, it's sometimes they're good, sometimes I enjoy that extra challenge, but majority of the time I'm just like, why? Like, why even do this?
Yeah. Like, I've said this before on the podcast. My all-time favorite game is Final Fantasy VII, and I think I would say Final Fantasy VII Remake.
Mm-hmm.
But the Final Fantasy VII story in general. But I have yet to platinum the remake. I've done everything except for beat the game on, like, the hardest difficulty, and defeat 2 enemies that only show up on the hardest difficulty.
So kind of going on that regard right there. First of all, how many platinum trophies do you guys have? Do you know off the top of your head?
No.
I can tell you that I have 9, and I should have had 10 by the time of this podcast aired. But again, kind of going back to Control, I had some delays in playing it, and I'm only 3 trophies away from the platinum trophy popping. So
Hey.
I will have my 10th sometime this week.
Probably by the time this goes live, then.
Was that?
I said you'll probably have the 10th by the time this goes
so
live.
There is a good chance that by the time that you are listening to this, whoever's listening to this, I've already gotten my 10th platinum trophy, which will be Control. Christian, do you know how many you have?
Yeah. So before we started the podcast, I looked at my phone, and so granted, and we'll get to this, I think, as one of the other talking points, but about half of these are like kind of give me platinums, but I have 37.
Wow. Okay.
I just looked it up. I have 15.
Wow. Okay. So yeah, kind of going on that. My next question was going to be, what were the easiest and hardest ones for you guys to get? Like, which one stands out as being the easiest, and which one stands out as being the hardest?
The easiest by far, and really it's just by default, was when I did the save transfer from Spider-Man PS4 to the Spider-Man Remastered.
I don't think that one even counts.
And it literally just gave me the platinum. It was like 5 minutes of trophies popping, and then it was like, all right, you got the platinum.
Okay, but like the easiest that you actually accomplished while playing it.
It's either Miles Morales or Astro's Playroom.
Okay, Astro's Playroom was a really easy but fun one to do. What's the hardest one for you?
That's a toughie, because
I mean, I would say 7, but you haven't done it yet.
I haven't done 7. So I don't think any of my it's got to be Kingdom Hearts 3.
Yeah,
it's Kingdom Hearts 3.
But even then, you found like a workaround for that, yeah, sort of.
My workaround was I took a break because it was too stressful.
But didn't you do like one part like 200 some odd times or something like that?
Probably. I've blocked most of that out of my memory. It was awful. I mean, I loved the game, but trying to get the platinum was horrible.
Yeah, see, that's what I was talking about when I always look at the trophy list, because I love Kingdom Hearts. I wanted the platinum trophy for Kingdom Hearts, but then I looked at what you had to do to get the Kingdom Hearts trophy list and was like, nah, I'm not.
I was same all the way.
I'm not doing that. I'm pretty sure it was like you had to synthesize a whole bunch of items and play the game on hard mode, I think.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
It was a lot.
Christian, what about you, bud?
Easiest and hardest ones. So we're talking about. So easiest ones, like I say, would have to be those that third to half of my platinum list that are all just give me platinums is kind of what I refer to them as, and it's the ones where literally all you do is just you play the game, and by the time the credits roll, the platinum pops.
Yeah.
And the series that really fits into that category perfectly is the Telltale games.
Absolutely.
Which I think was honestly my intro to platinum games, or to platinum in games, or what. Just whenever I actually came up was like, hey, like this is an actual somewhat achievable thing that I could actually do. But yeah, so I think for the easiest ones, the earliest the Telltale games, which I think was their Walking Dead series, if I'm not mistaken. There might have been one before that. I know Wolf Among Us came out shortly thereafter.
I've never gotten a single one for Telltale series.
Oh yeah, no, I
mean, you earned all 15 of your platinum trophies then.
Well, 14.
The what's it called? Guardians of the Galaxy Telltale games is of course my favorite, just because it's related to one of my favorite franchises. But anyway, so yeah, those would definitely fall in the easiest category. The hardest ones though, these ones, like I freaking earned these. Like these are I deserve to have these platinums. So I have a few that I'd like to share. So
go for it.
The first one that came to mind was God of War.
The 2018 one?
2018 God of War. I platinumed it. And okay, so it literally has like all of the things that usually I establish as run killers for myself. Like you had 100%, you had to do a lot of collectibles, you had to beat things on hard mode, and like you had to beat those bosses that are like, why the heck are these even in the game? Like, yeah. And so the Valkyries is what almost killed it for me.
That's what did it for me.
The Valkyries, is like an end game boss where, you basically, you have to gear yourself fully up, be fully equipped, level up all your armor, And then even then, you're going to hate yourself for probably a couple days while you try to maybe succeed at beating them.
Yep, hard
Yeah.
pass.
But I did it. I will admit, on the final Valkyrie, I think I can't remember exactly how the difficulty in that game was set up, but I played the game on, I guess, like what I would consider normal mode, whatever like the medium tier was,
Yeah.
or middle tier. But for the final Valkyrie, like the final one that I needed to get the platinum, I was like, I am not going to let this thing defeat me and turn it down to easy just to get the platinum.
I don't even blame you, because you have to fight 9 Valkyries, I believe.
I think so, yeah.
Before you get to the Queen Valkyrie, which is the final boss that you're talking about. And I got to number 9, and it's so hard that I was like, I love God of War, and I want this platinum trophy so bad, but I'm not getting it.
Yeah. So but that final boss, it got me. So I caved, I turned it down to easy, and then I was able to beat it, that final boss. And then so just a couple of the other ones, Borderlands 3, I consider hard just for the glitches alone. Like the game itself, like I love Borderlands, the franchise. The game, the trophy list is pretty much just like basically do everything. But the game was so glitchy that a lot of the territories that you had to discover everything, and a lot of the like circles of slaughter were like really buggy, and you just could
Didn't
not
you and
get
Cody
those.
both get the platinum on this?
Yeah.
Yeah, we did. I think Steven has it now too.
I just remember you guys doing the Circles of Slaughter together.
Yeah, we were trying to get the platinums at the same time. It was rough.
Yeah, it was
mainly
not
because
fun.
like there were trophies that were just bugged, like he was saying. Like there was a couple locations, weren't there? Like you couldn't get them unless you like were like literally like trying to clip through a wall.
Yeah, like there was a couple areas that you had to discover that like in a perfect world you would have been able to easily do this trophy. But what we were trying to do was like get in a vehicle, like get hung up on a certain part of a wall at a certain angle, and then it would pop up and say that you actually discovered that area, and then it would give you the trophy. So it was not great. And then the final two that I wanted to bring up was Ratchet and Clank. I'm very proud of this one. I love the series, favorite series of all time. The one in there that almost prevented me from getting the platinum was the dang hoverboard races. I spent so long trying to get like the top, because you have to place first on each of the hoverboard races, and they're so like, if you mess up once, like you can't fail at all throughout the entire run, and then you have to, yeah, it's perfect run on each of them. And then the other one, like you brought up before, Tim, Far Cry 5, I actually did platinum that.
Wow, did you go online and do all the multiplayer ones?
I did.
Jesus.
The multiplayer ones were not fun. Multiplayer had no right being in that game. Even at launch, which is when I got the platinum, there was not many people online playing the multiplayer.
I went to the lobby. I did one match. It took me 20 minutes to get into the match, and then I just died horrifically the whole entire time. I was just like, well, I'm done with this.
Yep. Luckily, I think it was only that you had like one of them was like you had to win 5 matches or something, and I was like, okay, so the odds are if I enter like 10, 15 matches, I could probably win at least like 5. That's probably pretty statistically accurate. And which is kind of what I did, just for like a couple days. I'd go in, play a couple rounds, maybe play like 5, get like 1 win, and then I'd just do that same thing for a couple days, and I inevitably got it. But I think even now to this day, if you go on into like PSN, PlayStation Network, and check the percentages for the people that have those trophies, let alone the platinum, and it's like point something percent.
I believe it. I mean, yeah. So for me, kind of like with you, the easiest ones I ever gotten were the Telltale ones. And in fact, that's the first platinum trophy I ever got was a Telltale game. It was the Game of Thrones Telltale one was the first platinum I ever got. And I never played The Walking Dead just because I have such a love-hate relationship with The Walking Dead in general.
It's fair.
Which I'm sure at one point we'll probably talk about The Walking Dead as a whole at some point. But I played the Game of Thrones one. I played the Tales from the Borderlands, which I think is my favorite of all the Telltale games. And up there is obviously Wolf Among Us, which I think Wolf Among Us, they actually try to do a little bit something sneaky where like you had to do both choices. And if you're playing a Telltale game, for those who don't know, essentially it's just an interactive story where you kind of just, progress at your own leisure through the story, and you have some choices to make that have consequences in the um, going forward of the game. Um, but I think in Wolf Among Us, there's a couple of trophies you had to get by doing the other choice, and it's supposed to allude to the fact that you have to replay the game. But if you beat the game, if you do all the episodes and beat the game, you can easily just select the chapter.
That's exactly what I did.
And then even in Wolf Among Us, you can select the sub chapter where the choice is made and just go back and play that sub chapter again.
I gotcha.
So it was really easy to go back and do so there's like 3 trophies where I had to just make the opposite choice of what I did. And I just didn't even bother making a save. I just got the trophy and then quit. So those are the easiest. The hardest one I've probably gotten was Persona 5 Royal. And I say Persona 5 Royal because Persona 5 I did not platinum because it's super hard. Persona 5 Royal, if you set it up correctly, you can actually do a platinum run in one sitting, where in Persona 5 you actually have to play the game twice because there's a certain you have to complete the compendium, which is sort of like the Pokédex for Persona 5. And in order to complete it, one of the personas you need, you can't actually get until you beat the game. So you legitimately have to play it over again. There's also just not enough time because in Persona 5 Royal, to put it into perspective, you only need to max out one of your confidants to get the trophy to pop. And it's like that in Persona 5 too, but they expand on it except where you then have to max out all your confidants to get the other trophy to pop, which there's just not enough time in the game to do that. At least, for me, when I was trying to figure it out, apparently there is a guide where you can go through and get the most amount of trophies in one playthrough. But again, you do have to replay it because there's one persona that you can get, and there's one boss fight that you can't do unless you beat the game either. So it really hammers in the whole you have to replay it again. And considering that Persona 5 is 120 hours base game, I didn't really feel like going through and doing that again. But I was able to do Persona 5 Royal because they made it easier to do. So that by far was probably the hardest, the one that I had to do. So
yeah, I'd like to thank you and Steven for convincing me that I should play Persona games. Don't get me wrong, I enjoyed Persona 5 Royal, and I platinumed it as well. But there went 100 hours of my life at the beginning of quarantine, I think, of last year.
Yeah, it's 120 hours minimum. And Persona 5 Royal adds another 30 to 40 hours of gameplay. So you got 150 hours of your life, I think, stole away from you because you were involved in Persona 5. And I said that's just to get to the end of the game. That's not even trying to do a platinum run. Persona 5, I put 105 hours in and I didn't get a platinum trophy. So that being said, what's one of the what do you think was one of the most stupidest things you had to do to get a trophy?
Cody, any to come to mind to you, or do you want me to go first?
Yeah, you go ahead.
All right, so I will admit the dumbest and stupidest thing I have ever done to get a platinum trophy was for Rocket League.
No.
The trophy list as a whole was not hard. There was a couple that was just okay, this is gonna be really time consuming, but it's not gonna be hard. It's yeah, sure, I've got time. I've got whatever. I'll go ahead and do this. But there was one trophy that would prevent. That was my last one before getting a platinum, where I think you had to drive 10,000 miles or something dumb. And I looked at the the log in the game, and I was like, let's see how many miles I've gone so far. And I had drove I don't know, 1,000 or a couple hundred, and I was like, oh, this is gonna take too long. And I googled it, and I found this one Reddit forum where someone was like, if you take your DualShock 4 and you put a rubber band around it to where your car just drives in circles, and then you just set it down and turn your TV off, go to bed, and come back the next morning, you'll wake up to a new platinum. And I was like, well, it's worth a shot. So I did it, and it worked.
Nice.
But yeah, it's definitely, it was so dumb. I still can't believe I did it, but it worked. So
What about you, Cody? You think of anything?
It's hard to say because one, I have a terrible memory, but two, I want to say the stupidest thing I've had to do is literally wait a month before they fix the game.
Not really.
Because playing Valhalla, I had not the same issue that Christian had. Like, Christian could have finished the game, but he couldn't have gotten the platinum because of a dumb glitch. I literally couldn't progress in the story to finish it to get the platinum because of a dumb glitch where a main character, and I think I've mentioned this before, a main character was literally just dead that shouldn't have died, and then when it came time for the story to progress, they were just lying dead in the snow and you couldn't interact with them. So the game wouldn't progress. So it took like a month for me to get that platinum trophy because I had to wait for them to fix their game.
Okay.
So
Well,
other than that, it's everything I had to go through in Kingdom Hearts 3.
yeah. I have two that come to mind, and I should preface the fact that, like, even though both these trophies, one of them I accomplished, one of them I gave up on, and in both these cases, I didn't necessarily platinum the game yet, but it's the two stupidest things I had to do to get a trophy. And like I said, one I gave up on, and the other I actually completed. So the one I gave up on was Final Fantasy X, trying to dodge all those stupid lightning strikes. If you've never played Final Fantasy X, there's a place called the Thunder Plains, and essentially, just like it sounds, there's lightning that strikes, and you have literally half a second to press the X button, and you can dodge the lightning. If you get hit by lightning, nothing really happens. You don't really lose any HP. It's just a little annoying thing that they have in there. I don't really know why, but it's in there. But if you want to synthesize Titus's ultimate weapon, you need the item that it gives you for dodging 200 lightning strikes. Now, I should also preface it that the trophy says dodge 200 lightning strikes. That's all it says. Like, I looked it up before I started this, and the trophy, hold on, let me bring it up real quick. It's called Lightning Dancer, and under the description, it says dodge 200 lightning strikes and obtain the reward. So I painstakingly dodged 200 lightning strikes. But here's the thing, it doesn't even tell you in the trophy, is that in order to get the reward, you have to dodge 200 lightning strikes in a row. You cannot, it's not just 200. Even the trophy itself says just 200 lightning strikes. But I looked it up, and in order to get the item that they're talking about, because when the trophy didn't pop when I did it, because I ended up dodging like 227 because the trophy never popped, and I was like, well, how close am I? You can go to like a little guy that'll tell you how many lightning strikes you've dodged, and there's a number for how many you dodged, and there's a number for how many you dodged in a row. And my number that I've dodged was like 227, but the number I dodged in a row was like 8.
Oh.
So I spent like 2 hours trying to dodge these lightning strikes, and the trophy never popped, and I was just like, well, I'm not doing this because they didn't say it was in a row. It just said 200 lightning strikes. Like I said, if you Google it right now, it still says dodge 200 lightning strikes. There's nothing ever mentioned about being in a row. So needless to say, I gave up on that because I was like, guess I'm not platinum this game because that is ridiculous. First of all, like I said, you have half a second to do this. The screen flashes white, and if you don't hit the X button as soon as it's done flashing white, you get hit by lightning, and you have to start all over again. And I think this is the dumbest trophy in the history of forever.
That's awful.
So the trophy that I actually did get was for Final Fantasy 14, because believe it or not, even though it's an MMO RPG, it does have trophies for it.
I didn't know that you got the platinum for 14.
I didn't.
I
said I got the trophy for it. I didn't platinum 14. Because in 14, you essentially have to level up every single class, every single one, and complete a number of fates, which are free action time events. But there is a thing called levy quests, and you have to complete 1,000 of them, and you get a really cool title called like Lord Protector, or Lady Protector if you're playing a female character. And I really wanted that, so I did 1,000 of them, and they're not hard to do. What's hard about it, and what makes it really stupid, is that you have allowances for them, and they build up over time, and you can get to 99 before you stop earning allowances, and you can only carry like 7 levy quests at a time or something like that. So they're not hard to do. They only take like a minute or so to do, but like the real time it takes to build up the allowances to be able to get it. But I was really stubborn, and one sitting where I was really involved in Final Fantasy 14, I was just like, I'm gonna get this because I'm really close, and I did. And then I realized that I wasted all my time on a title that doesn't really mean anything. It just means that I played Final Fantasy 14 too much, which arguably I have, because it's the game I've wasted almost 2 months of my life in game playing.
Yeah.
Not over time, like in game. I've played that game for at least 2 months.
Yeah.
And Cody's played it longer than me.
Yeah.
To be fair, he wasn't
I'm not
like
proud of that.
an officer in like a free company, and like was reading raid parties.
And you guys are going to be jumping back in with the next DLC, aren't
Don't.
you?
Yes,
Shut up.
I'm going to get, what is it, Endwalker or something?
And yeah, I don't know. We're going to the moon, man. It's getting dumb and whatever. I'm here for it.
I'm excited for it. I'm gonna start playing again. Probably closer. I'll probably resubscribe a month or two before the expansion actually comes out, just to reacquaint myself with the game itself and make sure I have the appropriate gear that eventually will be worthless in a couple hours playing
Yeah.
of the new one. But I'm gonna do all that stuff. Like I said, it comes out in like October or something. I think you said is when it was.
Fall, I think, is just I don't know if it actually had a date. I think it's just fall. But
I'll probably start playing again sometime in like June or July, just to reacquaint myself, because I'm a healer, so I need to make sure I know what I'm doing before I get into this some of this new content. But yeah, so I'll be resubscribing to it. I know that you have bowed out, Christian, and I know that Steven is pretty much in the same boat. Is that you guys are kind of, your time is over with Final Fantasy 14, but I can talk about a whole episode for Final Fantasy 14. And when the podcast we get to the point where it comes out, we probably will talk about a whole episode about Final Fantasy 14. But again, going back to kind of the trophies, I did get the trophy for the Lord Protector doing the 1,011 quests, and it wasn't fun. I don't recommend it. And yeah, so there's that. Real quick, kind of going into it. Do you think gaming was better before or after trophies? Like back in the day when there was no such thing as trophies or achievements, when you could just play the game and enjoy it for what it was? Or you think it's better now?
I think it's better now.
Why's that?
I mean, it's a false sense of accomplishment, but there's still that sense of like, yeah, I did it. Even if it's fleeting and you're like, it took me 156 hours to do it, but I did it. I don't know. For some games, it gives me a reason to finish the game. Because, like, for instance, Nintendo doesn't offer trophies, and there have been several Nintendo games that I just gave up on, like Mario Odyssey. Not that it's a bad game, I couldn't bring myself to finish it for one reason or another. And I feel like, honestly, if it had had achievements, I would have been more inclined to pick it back up and been like, you know what, I can do this. I can 100% this game. But like, since there's literally, no like, untangible trophy to achieve, like, I just didn't care.
Christian, what are your thoughts?
So my initial reaction was, I think it was life was better before, just on a personal level. Just on the matter of like, I lose enough hours of life playing video games as it was anyway. And then like trophies and achievements or whatever added on like even more amount of time that I'm just like, well, I guess I'm going to play this game for even longer than I probably originally would have, because now I won all these trophies. But I do agree with what Cody was getting at, and that like it does add a lot more to games. It creates a lot more challenges, or reinforces the challenges the games already have, and then actually physically gives you a reward for completing it. Instead of just being like, okay, cool, now here's like a I don't know, some sort of random item in game that, like, once you stop playing that game, has no meaning. It actually links to your account and actually rewards you, and you build up levels and stuff over time. So I do think it's a cool thing that Nintendo probably will one day incorporate into theirs as well.
Yeah, I mean, I enjoy trophies, but I also am kind of the person that like I just like to play games for games. Like I said at the beginning of this podcast, I never really considered myself a trophy hunter, and I still kind of don't, because
consider myself.
I really just play the game. Like I said, if I enjoy it enough and the trophies look easy enough for me to, like, well, not easy enough, but like attainable, then I'll go for a platinum run. But I mean, I played God of War. It's my favorite series. I never platinum a single one. I played more games and not platinumed it than I played games that I platinum. Like, I'm only on my number 10, and I've been playing video games since, somebody put a controller in my hand when I was a little kid. Obviously back in the day when it was just you had to beat the game, maybe you missed out on some of those things that you didn't know, like those, secret bosses or cool side missions or things that you could do like that. So, it could be better having trophies, but for me, I can really take it or leave it. I don't, not one of those people that's like, oh, look at me, I have all these platinum trophies. Like, I don't, like, it's like, I guess what you were saying, Cody, it's kind of like a false sense of achievement where it's like, doesn't really mean anything. At the end of the day, I just got the trophy because I wanted to feel appreciated with myself for putting all this time and effort, or I just like the game, and I like to think that, like, it's my tribute to the people that made it, of like, hey, you made a game, I really liked it, so I went and got your platinum trophy, even though they don't care.
Right.
Like, I could either take it or leave it. So, I mean, for me personally, I know people that turn off notifications and don't even care about trophies at all, and they just straight up play the game, and whatever happens, and they do that with every single game, no matter if they like it or not. They just play it for them and not what a studio tells you to do. And if they find out the cool secret stuff, then they find it out. If not, whatever, it wasn't obviously something that they wanted to do. So I guess boiling that down, it just, if you want to get a platinum trophy, get it. If you don't. So either you two have any final thoughts?
No.
No. Yeah, no, you did a good job kind of wrapping it up there. Yeah, I think it's as you guys were saying, it's trophies and achievements and everything, platinums especially. It's a great way to give you that temporary sense of achievement, to pat yourself on the back and be like, hey, I did it. Especially in a time of, like, 2020, 2021 and COVID and quarantine, where life isn't what it used to be, and you're able to kind of be like, hey, cool, I accomplished something today. But like, in the grand scheme of things, it means nothing.
Yeah.
All right, well, I think that's gonna wrap it up for this episode. So let me just say thank you for listening. Please make sure you like, share, subscribe, and leave a comment. If you'd like to reach out to us, you can find us on Facebook and Twitter at SKO Entertainers, or you can visit our website at www.skoentertainment.net for more information. Also, if you want to go there to find out how to contact us for the fan service segment I was talking about, that would be how you could do that as well. Also, don't forget to check out our YouTube channel. Like, as we mentioned before, we're playing some Resident Evil playthroughs, and Cody did a Hitman playthrough, so make sure you check out that to see all that kind of content. And finally, please don't forget to join us next week, because even in the best of days, we all need some kind of entertainment. Bye, guys.
See you.
See you guys.